Should we take precautionary measures or additional measures to improve security in our courts? Will it be allowed to have CCTVs in the premises, even if it's not inside the court itself, and then beef up security as a result of this? Would it be out of place to do that?
And that's what I wanted to raise when you invited me here. In Nigeria, the federal government should be consulted with through the legislature, National Assembly, House of Reps, House of the Senate, and then the various House of assemblies in the states, and then the executive, the president, his cabinet, the governors, and the commissioners, and then the judiciary. If you notice the trend of events, the judiciary has been treated as a non-existent arm. In the normal developed countries, the judiciary is entitled to a detachment of a police formation that is controlled by the CJ. The chief judge is not supposed to be putting a call through to the commissioner of police to seek for reinforcement. There's supposed to be a detachment of the military, of the police rather, that is trained to protect judges, trained to supervise courts, trained to maintain law and order. Because once you enter a court premises, you are supposed to be in an attitude of total sobriety, whereby your conduct will dictate peace, your conduct will dictate nobility. There's not supposed to be a display of thuggery, of any behavior that suggests fear. Because the judge, in giving a decision, must be placed in such a way that he is unfettered. He is not burdened in his mind to think that if I give judgment this way, people are waiting for me at home. That's why you see the eye of the symbol of the judiciary that is closed. The judge is not supposed to know anybody, whether you are APC or PDP. He goes into the thing, hears the facts, and go home and determine according to his conscience, according to law. But if you put a judge in a situation whereby you think that if I give a judgment that APC members seem unsatisfactory, they can mobilize their members to invade even the house of my father in the village, because the judge is a human being. He has parents, he has brothers. So I throw this back to the executive, and I'm talking about the president and the governors. We should not have a situation whereby anybody under any guise will have access to judges. The kind of orderlies that they give judges who don't have gun, orderlies that only one person to protect a whole judge, is unacceptable. There should be a detachment of the police armed to the teeth in the premises of the court, so that at the slightest provocation to violence, they are able to respond to it. And why this thing happened this way was that before they could call for reinforcement, the judge's dress had been torn, and the orderly had been beaten, the car had been smashed, and the judge could have been killed. It's unacceptable. And that's why you see we're in crisis here. Because look at England. The salary of judges are invested on their behalf. In other words, the money that is coming to a judge, a particular percentage is invested in stocks and businesses, such that the judge is not afraid of retirement. There is nothing to lure him into corruption. That's why when you catch a judge in England who is corrupt, you send him to jail immediately, because there is no reason for such bad behavior. But look, Lagos State is an example. And I challenge the governor and every other person. The last time the salary of judges have been increased in Lagos State, 7 years ago. Judges in Lagos State have been on the same salary for 7 years. And I know that August salary was only recently paid towards the end of September. And these are people that you ask to go and determine cases, to give arbitration, to give decisions on serious commercial disputes. So the executive must wake up to fund the judiciary, to make it more independent, to protect judges and their families.
Just before we get into the general matters around courts and dispensation of justice, do you think that in this particular matter, the judiciary has become an interested party?
Well, I can't say yes, I can't say no. It would be unfortunate for any judge to go into the conflict arena, or to go into the arena of conflict rather, because you are supposed to maintain some level of independence. Now, justice must not be done, but must be seen to be done. So perception is important, like you have raised it. And I must warn, or at least encourage judges, especially in Ekiti, we must get out of politics. Judges are not supposed to be involved in any way at all, either to be members of E11 or to be members of PDP or members of APC. So I think, in a way, if you look at the trend of events in Ekiti, the intervention of the judiciary will seem to have overtaken the will of the people. But there's nothing we can do about that, Mokwe. If people feel aggrieved concerning an election, they're entitled to go to court. And it is not the judges that file the cases. It's the human beings, it is litigants. And once a case is pending in court, it must be heard. So if the cases are not filed, the judges will not intervene.
The question is, with the way things have turned out, I mean, some people say the courts have been desecrated. And of course, it would seem that the judiciary wants to protect its own territory. How do you see it? How do you see the matters now panning out in court? Would they still be able to sit in the same court in front of the same judge? Now that Mr. Fayose is accusing the chief judge of also being an interested party, how do you think it's going to pan out at the end of the day?
It was an unfortunate allegation from the camp of the governor. You have been elected as a father of everybody. I mean, on October 16, God willing, he will be sworn in as the executive governor of Ekiti State. And he will be presiding over the affairs of this same chief judge that he has bias against. Virtually all judges are on his black book. And this is a state you are to govern and rule. Such statements should not come from somebody who has been elected as a governor, who is waiting to rule that state. If he has any grievance, if he has any problem with the conduct of judges, the National Judicial Council is there as an avenue for him to channel those grievances, even without being heard. Because the interest of Fayose now should be the progress of Ekiti, because he's now the governor-elect. And if he's sworn in, he's to restore peace into that state. And there's no way you are creating this crisis even before you are sworn in. It will become a difficult place, a terrain to manage. And I will advise members of the E11, because for all that you have said here, it's a case of interest. I mean, maybe if the governor is sworn in, he will take away our businesses, he will take away the things we are managing. I mean, it's important to allow the will of the people to prevail. Once you have filed a case, allow the case to go its own whole hog. If you lose the case in the High Court, go to appeal. If there's a stay of proceedings against you, allow it to be heard. But my own take in all this is that we can't stop the judiciary from intervening in disputes, whether it's election matter, whether it's family matter, and there should be steps taken by the executive. And I emphasize the executive, because you don't know whose turn it may be. Chamberlain, it can be me. And once I get into an arena whereby I am not sure of the outcome of that judgment, and then I take law into my hand, you don't know what will happen. There are cases I've filed in court in Lagos State here. My client told me, he said, I don't think from the way this judge is talking, it's in our favor. Can we get out of this court? I don't have confidence. And I said, what are we going to do? The judge must rule. And eventually the case was decided in my favor. But the utterances of the judge, the way he was intervening in the course of argument, you would think that that case would naturally go against us. But judgment was delivered in my favor, and the client was surprised. So if I had allowed the client to persuade me to go and take extrajudicial means, I would have even shot him on the foot in that regard. So we must allow justice to run its course. If there are cases of bias, they must still be pursued within the law courts. I mean, I give you an instance. Chief MK Abiola won an election in this country, and he had a running battle to reclaim that mandate. In the course of all that problem, members of the judiciary ran into some crisis with him, and he made some statements here and there, and they took him to court. Judges of the Supreme Court took his newspaper, Concord, to court. So eventually, when the case of Abiola came up before the Supreme Court, the judges were there sitting, and Chief J.O.K. Ajayi got up and said, "We are sorry, sir. You are the same person. You, justice of the Supreme Court, you took Abiola and his newspaper to court. There is no way you can have a case against the publisher of that company, and he's now here before you for you to determine the issue of his bail, his arrest." And in that same court, Chief Ajayi filed an application for them to disqualify themselves, and they disqualified themselves.
Okay, well,
so I'm saying that there are too many opportunities for people to ventilate their grievances without beating up a judge.
All right, then that's a fine place to leave it. Mr. Ebunolu Adegboro is a legal practitioner. Thank you very much indeed for coming on this morning. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away.